All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, December 7th. We have a 7-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, down in the pinned comment, keep an eye out for the final plays. All of that will be there absolutely free if you are interested in what I'm actually rolling with myself. In terms of yesterday, we do drop a unit there. The one thing I'll say is that we were like one basket away in a couple of those from having a really good night. So if Vucevic scores again, Jalen Johnson scores again, all those X's literally turn to wins, especially with the parlay. So I guess we read the day okay with some of our spread picks and totals and whatnot. And then even our player props with all those, it was a big same game parlay night yesterday. We had the right read in a sense, just we just didn't come through. So yeah, we still take the losses, but I guess it wasn't like an absolute disaster every day, even though we do drop units. So I guess that's a little inspiring. Maybe I'm just trying to find the silver lining in a bad day there, but hopefully we can do a little bit better on this fine Saturday. The good news coming in from Will, we had the ride of the day cash. Derek White over 4.5 assists. Derek White finished with, I believe it was 6 or 7 assists. So we'll take the cha-ching there and get the vibes high here because obviously we didn't do that with our picks yesterday. So shout out to Will. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also shout you out on my Twitter. It'll be popping up here throughout the show. And obviously, you know, if you win, we continue to ride with your plays. If you lose, you do got to face the womp womp. We got to acknowledge it like we do when we have our bad days. But go ahead and drop those hashtag ride of the days in the comments. What do you say we jump into this 7-game slate? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's get rolling. We have some weird ones. A lot of large, like there's no predicted close games via the spreads today, so we'll see what type of damage we can do or if the damage is done to us. But let's jump into it here. We got Charlotte taking on Cleveland. Right now, Charlotte 13-point dogs. Makes sense, right? You have Cleveland, who's a very, very good team. Cleveland, 3 straight wins. Boston is one of those, good for them. Denver's the other one. Now, they did stomp Washington. I don't give them credit for beating Washington, but they beat them by 1 million, right? It was like 33 or something, or 30, I don't even know. It was over 25 points. So, yeah, they've been doing their job. As we know, they're 20-3 so far this year. 2 of their losses have come on the road, which maybe is worth noting because Charlotte is actually a better home team than they are road team. It's not saying all that much, and overall, what it comes down what it comes down to for me, I should say, is the fact that we still have these injuries that I just can't get past on the Charlotte side of things. You still have LaMelo out. Bridges still out as well. I think those are 2 obvious, massive losses that should not be breaking news to anyone out there. So in this spot, I guess I'll look at Cleveland. The one thing that kind of gives me hesitancy here, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull the trigger on Cleveland minus the points, is that they haven't been the best of perimeter defenses so far this season. And Charlotte, in the last 10 games, shooting the 2nd most above the break threes. They're actually the 3rd most in terms of the entire season of points from 3. And like I said, Cleveland not exactly the best. So 16th, kind of middle of the pack in terms of points allowed from 3. And then on the road this year, 22nd, bottom 3rd of the league in allowing 3s. So yeah, maybe that's a spot where Charlotte can kind of keep up with them. But I think Cleveland's just too good against a beaten and bruised Charlotte team. I'll take them minus the points. That totals at 218. I look at this one and I want to say over because I do see that sort of path to Charlotte being able to score. But Cleveland's defense is good overall, and if we look at what Charlotte's been doing, they really have not been all that offensive. Like, you look at their last few games, they haven't scored over 105, or actually they haven't scored over 104 in 6 straight games here. So they're definitely, with LaMelo out, they're definitely sort of one-dimensional, and they're not as great as, offensively as they can be, obviously. So I think I'll lean towards the under, even though I was this close to really looking at an over, because I think Cleveland can put up 120 or so, you know what I mean? I just don't know if we can trust Charlotte to do their part overall. So yeah, I'm not rolling with anything in terms of a total there. But if I had to, probably would be the under, weird enough, because I started the research as the over, ended it, honestly, this morning with an under kind of look. So kind of flip back and forth there. Next up, a similar one, right? We have a huge road favorite here. Washington's taking on Denver. Washington's favored at home plus 14, that total at 231.5. Both these teams do play fast, so I get why that total is up there. And Denver should be able to score fairly easily. You know, they're shooting a lot from down low, not that many threes this year. In fact, in the last 10 games, the 6th highest frequency in terms of restricted area field goal attempts. And Washington on the season allowing the 5th most points in the paint. So yeah, Denver should be able to kind of run this one up and get buckets whenever they want. So I guess one look might be a Denver team total over. That's something that I guess I can convince myself of, because I don't know if I love Denver in this spot minus the 14 points, especially when given the fact that they haven't been all that tremendous on the road this year. Against the spread straight up there, or overall they're 7-12, but on the road they've covered in just 40% of games. Now that being said, Washington at home is only covered in 20%, so I could see the counter argument, but to me it's just too big of a number to be confident in it. So I think the only way I'd play this is probably taking a peek at Denver team total over. I think that they're going to get a lot of easy buckets, maybe even Denver team total over in the first half, you know, if we can get that. So right now their first half team total over would be over 61.5. I really don't mind that. I just don't think Washington's defense is going to be all that great. But the reason I look at first half potentially is because of the fact that, you know, we could see a blowout here and maybe Denver takes their foot off the gas. Maybe we even look at like a first half spread or something like that. I like Denver in this matchup, but that 14 seems a little bit too much. You know what I mean? So that's why we start to kind of nitpick and try and look at maybe, okay, well, Denver first half minus 5.5, minus 6.5, something like that, depending on what we can obviously get odds on. But I don't mind the Denver team total over, depending on what we can get that at overall either. It's just tough when we have large spreads like this. Like, I know a lot of me going through this game is, I don't mind this, I don't mind that. It's like, yeah, because that's where I'm at. I don't love anything in this spot solely because of the issue we have with that spread. Now, one spot I do like as a player prop might be Jokic. His first half points over 14.5. Looks like that's only on Prize Picks right now. I don't mind his full game points, but you are looking at, 29.5. He would definitely need a lot of those, especially if this is a blowout. He would need the minutes, but this is a Washington team that cannot defend the paint. So far this season, I already mentioned it, right? 5th most points in the paint, whereas Denver, they're going to try and get into the paint, and I really don't see any adversary down there, like Alex Starr, Marvin Bagley. Like, Jokic should be able to bully these guys down low, so that's a spot that I would look at. I just wish, the lines, I feel like we're slow to the lines here. Everything I don't mind in this game already has like a high line or really juiced odds, so it is kind of tough. But one spot that is not tough, nice transition, Ev, is heading over to Underdog. Guys, they have a 0.5 points line for Luka for tonight. If you guys do want to go and test it out, and if you've not signed up for Underdog, now would be the time to do so. You have up to $1,000 in a deposit bonus as well. Really, really good spot here for Luka, obviously, to score 1 point. I think that we can count on that one. I'll have a link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. If you don't know what Underdog is, it is one of my favorite DFS player prop apps in which you pick higher or lower on player set projections. So we're picking higher on this Luka free square, right? You put them into an entry. The more players you put in there with the selections, the more you get right, the more you will get paid out. It is really, really cool. You can submit a lineup like that, which is awesome. You go in there, place it quickly based on your knowledge. So if you feel like you do know players really well, this would be a great app for you. And all of a sudden, you're enjoying the game more and more. So go ahead and check out Underdog, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Whichever one is more convenient for you, it'll be in both places. All right, Pelicans taking on OKC. Shout out to New Orleans for hitting for us against Phoenix last game. We had the money line and plus an alternate line, both catch. You guys called me crazy in the comments. And I was, but still, it came through for us. Today, they got a little bit bigger of a number to cover here at 8.5. And why did we like them against Phoenix? Because I felt like their offense actually can fit what Phoenix's weakness was. Not the same with OKC. OKC, the number 1 team in the league this year in terms of preventing points in the paint. They've also covered the perimeter well. This New Orleans team, whether they're getting healthier or not, I don't think that this is the big spot for them. Yes, Ingram is back. Yes, we should have, Jones, Murphy, McCollum, Murray. Like, other than Zion, and then Alvarado and Hawkins, who are off the bench, but they should be pretty much healthy in terms of starters, again, other than Zion. So, yeah, this team's getting healthier. Obviously, we have still the guard Jalen Williams and then Chet Holmgren out for OKC, but I'll take OKC in this spot. They should be able to make it like a nightmare for the Pelicans to score. So I like the under as well, but potentially a team total under for the Pelicans. If we look at what the Pelicans had been doing, I know they're getting their guys back, but prior to that 126 game against Phoenix, again, I think they matched up well offensively. We took the Pelicans, which was kind of crazy. Prior to that, 112, 85, 109, 93, 110, 108, 100, 91, 99. Like, they were not scoring all that many points. The caveat is that, well, yeah, Ingram was out, DeJounte Murray was out, McCollum was out. Like, they do have some scorers back, but let's just not act like this is not one of the better defensive teams in the entire league in OKC, whether Chet Holmgren's in there or not. So I think that maybe a team total under is a way to kind of beat around that 8.5 number, because it is still a decent enough number for the Thunder to go out there and cover, right? Like, I think that I'm confident in that, but they've only covered that in 50% of their last 10 games. The Pelicans have covered the plus 8.5 in 4 of the last 10. So they're both kind of just 50-50 in this spot. Pelicans a little bit worse. But give me the Thunder minus the points. I think the defense is going to come through, which also leads me to a potential look at the New Orleans team total under. Where I'd go with a player prop perspective here, and we can jump into the outlier screen. I'll put a link to Outlier for a 7-day free trial. I like Jalen Williams here. Over 19.5 points. I think that this is going to be a good spot. You can see if we flip over to NBA.com, he shoots the most restricted area field goal attempts over the last 10 games. Flip it to in the paint. Shea kind of has that, but the restricted area is really where this Pelicans team is going to struggle. You can see 68% in the last 10 games in terms of field goal percentage again. So I like Jalen Williams, who has hit over 19.5 points in 15 of 22 games this year and in 4 straight against the Pelicans. And back on November 13th, a 106-88 win for the Pelicans. He had 31 of those points in just 31 minutes. He shot 56% from the floor. Do we think that he's going to do that? This season he's shooting like 50%, so sure, maybe he can do it, but to me, this is probably more or less, that was like an outlier. I think that might have been his highest point. Yeah, right here, his highest points so far this year. I like him more in I would say the 22 to 24 range. So even if you want to get a little bit less juice in this one, you can look at over 21.5. Looks like MGM has some great odds right now in terms of beating other books. So yeah, I like Jalen Williams in the spot. That definitely has a chance of being a final play. I will say that this, even though same game parlays, we were so hot, 2 weeks ago, now they seem to be the things that are kicking us in the ass. I would say maybe a Jalen Williams like 15 plus OKC kind of altering the spread could be a look as well if we want to get both of those involved. All right, Knicks taking on Detroit. Guys, comment spread down below if you agree with me that there's just these games today. Yes, there's some good games, but all of these lines are pretty large. You know what I mean? Like, look at that. We'll come up on it, but Miami and Phoenix being the only one that's, the lowest one, and it's still 6 points. We have no 2.5 or 3. So a lot of games right now where one team's fairly heavily favored over the other. So comment spread if you guys do believe on that, and you made it, believe that, and made it this far into the video. But let's jump into this Knicks and Detroit one. So a couple things to note here. This Detroit team was decent, okay, at the beginning of the year at preventing points in the paint. And they've kind of drifted off a little bit, but now they're starting to come back to it. So they were like a top 5 team. Then they moved to about, I would say a week and a half ago to like a top 14 team. Now they're back in the top 10. And over the last 3 games, they're top 2. Why is that important? Because the Knicks do like to score in the paint. They have Brunson and Towns there. I will say the Knicks, if I give them any credit, they're one of the most like diversified scoring from any zones on the floor teams in the league. They're top half in restricted area field goal attempts, top half in the paint. Corner threes, top 10. Above the break three, 17th. Mid-range, 13th. So they do shoot from a lot of different areas. But I want to give the Detroit Pistons credit here for those points in the paint, because I think that's going to be a big deal here. Number 1 in terms of preventing center points, preventing center threes. Karl-Anthony Towns, obviously a huge part of this Knicks offense. So just FYI, I do think that they can give New York some struggles in this spot. I think Brunson listed as questionable too, which is massive. In terms of what I like from a spread, I don't mind the Pistons. Is it kind of crazy? I guess you could make that argument. The way the Pistons have been playing, they haven't looked all that great, but when they have these large numbers, they have been covering them. Like if you look at their last few games here, they had, what was it, a 12-point spread, I believe, against the Bucks, and the Celtics, and they end up covering. They only lost by, I think it was like 10 or 11, so they covered. They covered in that Indiana game where they had like a 6.5-point spread. So yeah, I know that they've had their injury woes and whatnot, but when healthy, I think that they can compete. And the Knicks, as much as I've kind of given them credit lately, they are due for a massive letdown. Like, they have smacked Charlotte. They smacked Orlando. They smacked New Orleans. They also beat Charlotte again. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They are at home here, I know that, but they're due for a little bit of a drop. And if Brunson is questionable and doesn't play, Karl-Anthony Towns has some trouble with Jalen Duren and everyone else down there, I could see this being an issue. Now, the one counter would be, buddy, Karl-Anthony Towns had 21 points and 11 rebounds last time they played Detroit, and they won 128-98. I hear you. That was one of, if not, maybe his worst. Jalen Duren, he only played like 18 minutes. He did not have it going. I think he had like 6 rebounds, 5 points. I expect him to step up a little bit more in a spot like this. So if he plays better, I think that this game stays within single digits, which would be the plus 9.5. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. We'll sound the psycho alert alarm. Maybe I truly am crazy for leaning towards the Pistons in the spot, but I'm kind of just smelling a little bit of a New York letdown spot here. But I also like the under. Like I said, Detroit's not going to play all that fast, and we know the Knicks are plenty comfortable slowing it down, playing some defense, and scoring via twos. So, yeah, give me the under 226 as well. From a player prop perspective, I already kind of hinted at what I like. It depends on if we can get a good line or not, because Karl-Anthony Towns, we talked about him when we were live streaming, a couple days ago, right? This is a spot in which, he's had a good year, but his line's super inflated right now. He's averaged, I think, in the last 10 games, 24 points per game. On the season, 25.19. But this line at 25.5, this is with the potentiality of Brunson not playing, right? If we look at how he's done without Brunson, I don't believe he's had any games so far this year because Brunson hasn't missed, if I'm not mistaken, right? But with ball-dominant guards and whatnot, I don't necessarily think Towns benefits not having them. I think that Brunson sets up a lot for Towns, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of focus on Towns if Brunson doesn't play. So with that said, I don't mind looking at Towns under 25.5 points, minus 102 over on FD right now. I think it's a decent number. It might be crazy. Everything I've said about this game, we spent plenty of minutes on this game. It might be crazy, but I don't know. Maybe I got the crazy itch with this one because I like the Pistons, I like the under, and I like Towns under. All right, Toronto taking on Dallas. Dallas coming off of, I want to say it's like 6 straight wins. They've won 9 of their last 10. They've covered in 9 of their last 10. They're playing some good basketball. They have some good wins in there as well. A lot of bad teams, but they beat and covered against New York. They beat and covered Denver. They beat and covered OKC as 7-point dogs. That was, like 2 weeks ago or so. Toronto, though, still a decent against the spread team. Like they're 5-5 in their last 10, but 7-3 against the spread. And if we look at them at home this year against the spread, 65.2% of games overall against the spread, right? In terms of covering. At home, 73%. Now, Dallas has been very good at covering on the road, and they are the better team, so I do understand that side of things, and I think if Dallas does play everybody, which right now looks like the injury report is saying that most guys will play. I mean, we have the usuals out, but Luka, Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Derek Lively, Gafford, their normal guys look like they're good to go. I like Dallas in this spot. You have Jakob Poeltl listed as a game time decision. He missed last game, right? Davion Mitchell game time decision. Kelly Olynyk game time decision. So this Toronto team, though they've made some bread for us so far this year in good spots, I don't sense this being one of them necessarily. I do think that they're still just a little bit too injured and too bruised to be able to kind of get over that hump. So 9 points doesn't seem like a lot for me on the Dallas side of things. Also, if we look at it from where lines are moving, 8.5. So if you wait this one out, you might be able to get, I guess, even better in terms of lines if we want to wait that one out. I also don't mind Dallas like in the first half or first quarter. I think that they come out a little bit hotter in this spot, trying to get on the jump because they know Toronto's a good against spread team and they're better at home. But Dallas, like I said, has been pretty good on the road this year as well. From a total perspective, we're looking at 234.5. You have Toronto, who has literally they've busted my brain. They've fluctuated so much in terms of where they've ranked, pace wise, from a 10-game sample to a 10-game sample to a 10-game sample. We've seen them at number 3 earlier in the year. We've seen them the bottom third of the league a couple weeks back. Now they're sitting in the last 10 games at 13th. Dallas sitting at 7th. I think Dallas puts up a decent number today, and I don't necessarily sit here and tell you that Toronto won't, because what's Dallas really good at defensively? Covering the perimeter. Where does Toronto not shoot from? Literally the perimeter. Last 10 games, fewest out of the entire league in terms of above the break threes. The 4th most restricted area field goal attempts, where Dallas ranks 7th worst in terms of preventing those points. So I think Toronto could put some numbers up. Dallas could put some numbers up. I like the over 234.5. And I rarely look at overs that high, right? Usually we just kind of stay back from them, but I do think some points could be in the mix here today. And with points in the paint, always, to me, with this Toronto team, comes RJ Barrett, points plus assists. His line's going to be pretty damn high because Poeltl might not be playing. But if we look at his points plus assists here, 27.5. I like the spot. He's hit it in 7 of his last 10 games. We can even show you as we walk through it. 11 of 21 so far this year. At home, he's hit it in 7 of 9. If we look at him head-to-head against Dallas, 32 last time they played. It was last season. But I do like the spot. Dallas against small forwards, allowing plenty of assists. And we know, so to small forwards specifically, and if we look at RotoWire, he is listed listed as the small forward. Small forward specifically, yeah, they're covering well, right? Like they're not allowing those points. But I already mentioned the reason I like Barrett is because if we flip over to NBA.com, last 10 games, he's by far the leading field goal attempt taker in terms of shots per game in the restricted area, which is where I think Dallas will struggle. You could see their weakness right there overall. So, yeah, to me, RJ Barrett, over 27.5 points plus assists. Do I mind his points? No, but I really do like his points a lot more at like 19.5, even though he's kind of exceeded that. But points plus assists could be a good look, averaging 10.2 potential assists per game. And even if we just look at his assists, like he's had some big assist games, right? Last time he played Dallas, he had 6. So I like this spot. Maybe even considering his over 4.5 assists. But the reason I like the points plus assists is because Dallas, if he gets in there and they know he's going to score in the paint, they'll collapse on him. He can hand it off, say Pirtle plays, hand it off to him, Scotty Barnes slashing. Like I think that he can, because he's a threat in the paint to score and leads the team in shooting in the paint, he's going to have a couple easy dump offs. I know Toronto does not shoot the ball well, but maybe if they collapse on him, he even kicks it out for some assists as well. So yeah, it's kind of like an inside out approach for RJ Barrett. Yeah, if he goes out there and scores a bunch, great. It's going to make our job easier for that over, but I also do like him to kind of tack on a few assists there as well. All right, Miami taking on Phoenix. I guess I just want to we'll just jump to our dashboard here, and I can kind of show you why I like this. My favorite spot in this one's going to be taking a peek at the under. Look at both these teams. They do not like to score in the paint, right? So that would be what I'd say potentially is the weakness of either team. Both of them like to shoot the three. You can even see from a corner three perspective, top 5 teams, right? And they score the 9th and 7th most points from three so far this year. At home, Miami's good. On the road, Phoenix is good. In the last 3, they're both good. But that's where we see a little bit of like the defense stepping up, right? And even if we look at above the break, Miami 33% allowed in the last 10. Phoenix under 36%. So I don't think that either team is going to have the easiest time scoring here. I would take this if it was like even if it was like a 2, maybe 18.5. You know what I mean? And that's 3 more points. So yeah, I like the under in this spot. Have we had our best reads with some unders lately? AKA when we took the under in the Bulls and Spurs game and they scored 1 million points? I guess not, but I don't mind this spot whatsoever. I think that both these teams can kind of D up where the other likes to score from. And obviously, we still have the struggles with Phoenix there with Kevin Durant, who's still listed as out. Yusuf Nurkic listed as out as well. So, Miami might even try to get into the paint a little bit more. But still, if that's the case and that's the game plan, then I like the under more because now we're talking counting by 2s versus 3s. So, yeah, under 221 is going to be my main look in this one. I don't like this Phoenix team whatsoever without Kevin Durant, but 6 points, 6.5 points is way too much to be given this Miami team. This Miami team doesn't deserve that. They've beat teams. I mean, they beat the Lakers a few nights back, and they've now rested, so I give them credit. But Phoenix should still be what I would consider the team that, keeps this game close. Do I think that they win it? I don't really care, but I think they keep it to within 7 points because you can get 6.5 right now. So, again, back to Miami. They beat Dallas. Okay, good win. They beat Philly. Good win. They beat Charlotte. Okay. They beat Toronto. They have a mixed bag of wins over their last 10 or so. So, yeah, do they step up tonight against a Phoenix team that I am going to give a little bit of defensive credibility to how they're going to play defense against this team? I don't think Miami steps up in the way that they have. Like, when they've won games, we can even look at it, right? Their last few games. When they've won games, they've scored a decent amount of points against the Lakers, 134, against Dallas, 123, against Indiana, 124. I don't think that they get to against Toronto, 121, right? Like, I don't think they get to a high point total tonight. So I think that this could be a spot where Phoenix keeps it close. No real player props in this one, especially with the injuries given. All right, Boston taking on Memphis. Guys, comment 23 if you made it this far into the video. Do appreciate it. Hope everyone had a great Friday. Now we're on to a Saturday. Hopefully we do have a good Saturday because this NBA season has us playing pong with our head. One really good day, one bad day, one okay day, one really good day, one bad day. It's some tough stuff. Now I have a headache from doing that. But anyways, comment 23 if you guys made it this far into the video. Make sure you're subscribed and liking as well. But here we go. We got Boston taking on Memphis. Celtics, it was a good game last night. They get the job done, but do not cover. 111 to 105. They close as 8-point favorites. You want to keep an eye on this injury report. Right now, it looks like everyone's playing. Jason Tatum's not indicated as anything. Brown's not indicated as anything. Holiday, White, no one's indicated as anything. Kristaps Porzingis is listed as a game-time decision, but probable. But these guys did just play a back-to-back, and we've seen the Celtics kind of pick and choose back-to-back spots so far this year, and maybe that's just because I watch the Celtics a lot. So keep an eye on that injury report. I wouldn't race to that saying Celtics -6.5. Duh. There's nothing on the injury report right now, but I would not be surprised if they know something we don't know, that Tatum's not playing or Brown's not playing, that type of a thing. So just be patient with this one, because 6.5 obviously seems like not that big of a number, especially when they just played the Bucks and they were 8-point favorites, you know? So just keep an eye on that. Don't race to the window with this one, even if you see that and you're chomping in the bit like they should be able to beat this team. Memphis is coming off of playing some good games now. I would say their strength of schedule over the last 10 isn't all that great, and when it has been tough, they've lost those ones. But they had a nice win against Sacramento a couple nights ago. We were on Desmond Bane, so we did love to see that. In this spot, I don't necessarily think that it's a Desmond Bane spot. And again, for the spread, I do like the Celtics, but I want to see the injury report. But I do have a player prop look here. I think Ja Morant, coming off of an ejection, should be kind of fired up in this spot, and he loves to shoot, obviously, in the paint. He leads the team in terms of restricted area field goal attempts, and he's second in terms of in the paint field goal attempts. And in the paint outside of the restricted area is just that restricted area and then extended to the foul line, but not including the restricted area. So yeah, I think Ja Morant could have a good game tonight in terms of how he's played against the Celtics in the past. We can look at that. We can jump into outliers. So walk you through it with me, but here's his points: 20.5, right? Yeah, this is a tough one. He didn't look all that great. This season, 7 of 13 games, so 54%. Went on the road this year, 4 of 5 games. And then, like I mentioned, against the Celtics, oh, we don't have that, not pulling in right now. Here we go. Ja Morant versus Celtics averaged 25 points and 8.3 assists against the Celtics in his career. Look at the last ones that he's played: 25, 30, 38, 29, 26. That's dating all the way back to 2020. So yeah, I think that Ja Morant could be a good look tonight, as long as he plays the minutes that he should. You know what I mean? Like, his minutes are obviously up and down. If he's going to get, say, 30 minutes a run, he's hit that in 2 straight games this year. He's been playing right around, where his minutes, he's been playing right around 27. So even if he plays his average 27, 5 of 8 this year, and then on the road he's hit it in 3 of 4, and he scored 18 there in a spot in which he played a lot of minutes, but only shot 46% from the floor. So yeah, I like this spot for him. Jaren Jackson Jr. also someone to consider, but he is, if he's going to be playing, going to get a lot of Kristaps Porzingis treatment and whatnot too. So maybe, you know, we stick away from that, but I like guys to score in the paint, like we've shown this whole year against the Celtics. Ja Morant, like, screaming from the rooftop, "That's me, that's me." Now, in terms of a total in this spot, it's at 238.5. Obviously, a very, very large number. I'm going to give the Memphis Grizzlies defensive credit here, as well as the Celtics defensive credit. So the Grizzlies cover the perimeter fine, you know, top half of the league. Last 3 games, they're the 8th best, and they did cover the perimeter well against Sacramento. The Celtics are a different beast and animal, I get that, but the Celtics are plenty fine saying, okay, let's slow it down and pass the ball 4 times before a half court, you know, kind of possession and whatnot, and then we end with a 3. Like, they're not the biggest on run and gunning. Now, they're so good that obviously they can go out there and score a bunch of points, but look at that game last night, right, against the Bucks, 111 to 105. I don't mind that spot. And in terms of rest advantages, so Memphis having the rest advantage, they've hit the under in 77% of games so far, or I think it's 67% of games so far this year. So maybe they'll be able to slow the Celtics down even more, because Memphis is the number 2 pace team over the last 10 games. That would be the run and gun team I worry about, but I still think the Celtics are very good defensively too, right? So I think the defenses shine here. Yes, the Celtics offense can obviously always blow an under, but 238.5 seems a little bit too high for me there. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.